Brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Stay connected to what matters most with the best value in wireless.
There is strength in numbers. When a group of people united by a common goal come together, by definition, it forms a league. And in the Call of Duty League, that goal is simple: to be the last team standing. With the lights at their brightest, the stakes never higher. A new era begins. Teams will rise. Superstars will shine. It's time to be teams must now answer the call and begin their quest. This is the Call of Duty League.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Call of Duty League action continues, getting ready for game 2 of the day. Mention joined, as always, by the wonderful Chads. And for the pre-game of the next game, we got Nameless as well. And it's always a pleasure to talk things Call of Duty with you.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to get into the games. You know, that first one, we got to see the debut of Pristini on the Huntsman, and they look pretty good. Some tough maps, but looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, looking good. Excited to see how their tournament will progress. But moving the conversation on, I want to talk about the next game, Chance, because it's a weird one where I feel like there's potential for it to go the distance, but maybe not for very good reasons, if that makes sense.
Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that analysis. I think it might be a bit of a quick match, but I think your point is completely valid because, yes, the Guerrillas have not been great, but they have had quite a few Game 5s. They just haven't been able to close out really any series. They have 2 wins on the entire year, so it's been a struggle. And then the Ravens, we don't really know what we're going to get. Obviously, we've got Zero coming in place of Jerd, so the expectation is long-term they should get better, but this has been a week or 2 of practice that they have had with the new men on the roster, so we're not entirely sure what kind of look we're going to see.
And then obviously to touch on Guerrillas, as you mentioned, their record on the year hasn't been great. Their overall CDL points, not that good either. I know when we talk maps and modes and a little bit later on, we'll mention just how they look statistically across the board for this series. I know that isn't great. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But overall, Nameless, I'm curious to get your opinion from what you've seen so far this year. What's really been going wrong with the LA Guerrillas?
Well, the Guerrillas started off with a roster I thought was going to be great. It wasn't great at all, so they made a ton of changes. They pick up some amateur players onto their team, a player who, you know, in Spartan Vivid, who are great in that scene, but it hasn't transitioned that well into the Pro League just yet. It just takes some time. You know, we've been talking about this every single weekend we watch these guys play. It just seems like a long-term thing. They're trying to develop these guys versus these pro teams and get them ready for next year. We've seen some great series out of Aqua, but looking at this team, I don't see a leader on it, and for them and for these young developing players, I feel like they need one, and that's where Aqua or Decimate have to step up and help these guys out. But going into this series versus a team like London Royal Ravens with players who have been incredible for the last few years, the odds are stacked against them.
And then obviously on the flip side, we just saw the graphic there of London Royal Ravens kind of recent series, Chance. It hasn't been great for them.
Yeah, they have been a team all year that they've been a threat to pretty much any team they play against. Like even the best teams in the world, they're a threat, but they're never able to quite get over that hump and just become one of the best teams in the world. They're a step behind, and I think a talking point that's been mentioned for those guys quite a bit is just like some sort of mental block. Like they're just some sort of mental block that until they get over that, they're not going to see a tournament win. And maybe a guy like Zero could help be the fix for the mental block that the team may or may not have. Because how many Europeans have ever won a championship?
He's won, right?
No, it's true.
He's on that list. He's on the list.
My thing is that we've just seen this team form so many different times and it hasn't worked out. Now, like you said, they are always a threat and they have been throughout the season, and adding Trey, they might become a little bit more of a consistent threat to those top teams, but are they championship caliber just yet? we've seen it before. I can't buy into it. I can't buy into it.
That's fair. That's fair. We'll take a look at our Game Fuel keys to victory real quick. But just to continue the conversation, because I think this conversation is one definitely worth having. I know there's a ton of questions over Zero, predominantly in AR. You look at how the meta of the game is right now. I think you can put those really to the side. He's been using it for quite some time. But Chance, what was the point you were going to kind of counter there to Nameless's?
I was going to say we've seen some teams already this year that had, like, even if the teams haven't been spectacular, they've been able to get the win. Like the tournament format we have this year, it's a little bit lighter. Like, look at this tournament. Atlanta's not here. Dallas isn't here. I see names like that not in the picture. I'm like, yeah, if they're not there, like, hell, Ravens, like, they might be in the mix. Like, this is not a team that I don't think will win champs. I think there's a possibility, but I think it's a very low percentage. But for a home series tournament, like, why not? Like, by all means, it could be the difference maker.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Of course, our Game Fuel keys to victory for London Royal Ravens on your screen before this turns into an episode of Contesting the Point. Zero needs to have a big series. Absolutely right. They've been lacking all that slaying ability. Hopefully, Zero can add to that. And again, to touch on that story, Zero, traditionally throughout his career, he's known to do a bit of both, but just seems more comfortable with an assault rifle. I think it was actually on your podcast, Nameless. He actually came out and said, yeah, I do feel more comfortable with an assault rifle, but you look at that roster on paper, someone has to pick up a sub to help fill it out, and obviously it's going to be Zero.
Yeah, and I just love Zero Respawn. I like the way he plays. Typically some people say he plays slow, but I disagree. I think he plays at the right pace. I think he understands the game very well. And for the Los Angeles Guerrillas going into this series, I think they're going to struggle in the respawns a bit. I think the only way they do this is by getting it in 5. And when we saw the Ravens go up against Optic Gaming at the last tournament, they went all the way to 5, and the Ravens were able to clutch up. I think the way the Guerrillas do it is go all the way to 5, and they clutch up instead. It's just the only way I see it happening. They have such good search and destroy players and young talent. They have to do it there.
Fair enough. We'll take a look now at our quick scope presented by the U.S. Air Force, how both of the two teams kind of stand throughout this season. Obviously, for Los Angeles Guerrillas, it's not great. You expect those numbers to be relatively low, but to Chance's point, maybe this is a weekend where London could turn it around almost. Potential, I guess, maybe that they could take it. They'd have to start strong, and that's what we look for here in the first series of their tournament. There, of course, the numbers for the quick scope. CDL points. Yes, there's a 30-point lead for London, but by no means is it a comfortable one, Chance.
Not at all. And I think the CDL points is worth talking about actually a ton this weekend, because we're at the point, it's like the perfect halfway point of the year, right? Where every single team, they have 4 tournaments left. There's 6 total left in the year, and every single team has already played 4. So you have the Guerrillas sitting at 20 points. That's the halfway point. If you double up, you get 40 by the end, and you're still at the bottom 4 of the leaderboards. So I think both of these teams, bare minimum, the goal needs to be, we need to at least make it out of groups, get minimum 20 points, and they have to replicate that at pretty much every tournament they have left if they really want to make a dent in the standings, because now we know what happens when you go to champs. The seeding means everything.
Yes, it does. The CDL points very, very important. Is game 1 about to get underway. Nameless, thank you as always. Absolutely love your insight and your fantastic Game Fuel keys to victory. And one thing I do want to talk about as we load into game 1, Chance, is the maps and modes, right? Sure. Because specifically for LA Guerrillas, this series isn't pretty on paper.
No, not at all. And admittedly, you could pick pretty much any sort of maps, and the Guerrillas record probably isn't going to look great. But the 5 that we have for this series, combined record of 1-13, Ben. I will say, though, the one win they have is actually on this map where they are, I believe, 1-4 on Gunrunner Hardpoint.
Oh, that's, pretty rough. That's for sure. Is game number 1, of course, just underway. We'll kick things off on board with Vivid on the LA Guerrillas. They can maybe try and start strong, Chance. Of course, when you talk about things like the bracket that they may have to go through here for both two teams, going to be an interesting one, that's for sure, to really see how far either of these two teams could go and maybe turn around their entire weekend.
And again, it's really just a matter of getting as many points as possible. I think kind of generically for the Guerrillas, I would say it's like 90% likely that they're going to end up in the bottom 4 in seeding by the end of the year, because they would have to do spectacular stuff to make a turnaround, and I don't really see it. And I do think the Ravens are a team that can maybe bump up another few spots if they really start to turn things around. Realistically, though, the game plan is obviously you want to put together the best champs performance you possibly can. You want to crack at that $2 million, so you need to get the ball rolling and just make sure you're improving until you get to that tournament.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As LA Guerrillas off to a good start here 27-2 as we rotate over now to P2, but it is going to be London. They're rotated, ready to go. And of course, we all know just how important P2 can be on this map, Chance.
It is definitely one of the bigger money hills in the game. Definitely not number one, but towards the top, you can obviously lock it down for a full 60. And right now, it's exactly what the Ravens are going to be attempting to do. Spart really the only man in the kill feed right now for the Gorillas. And you can see the attempt, 3-man pushing down the side. The question is, when do you try to break in the doorway? Because obviously, Shani sitting there waiting for him.
Yep. And potentially the kills start to come through in favor of LA Gorillas. The Heartbleed currently going to be contested, though. Someone looking to try and break through it again. Keep your eyes really on Zero for me. It's going to be the key component for London Royal Ravens' success in short time since he's been brought into the starting roster. I know really only a few days ago the announcement came through. People asking questions, well, who is Zero going to replace? Of course, this team, as Nameless so rightfully kind of pointed out, historically at least, you've seen combinations of these players for quite some time, and you can argue whether they've had success or not, whatever your definition of success is it, just making it far into a tournament, a final, a championship, etc. But Zero, as you mentioned, Chance, one of the few European players to win on U.S. soil.
It is an interesting conversation of what we consider success, because they've been like Zero's been on a top 3, top 4 team the past few years, and there's some people that just look at him and they're like, that's like still crap. Like, there's so many people that like, if you are not the #1 team clear cut, it doesn't even matter. And then there's times where a team like Chicago is the #1 team, and then they lose a map, and it's like the world comes crumbling down, and it's a very hypercritical community we have at times, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say, Chance. I really do. Now London looking to maybe try and start pulling away in game #1, 75-50 the current score with 10 seconds left on this hill. It looks as if it's going to be Wuskin trying to pick up the scrap time. Speaking of Wuskin, a slow start for him by his standards, 5-5. Of course, after the first few events, there was MVP chance, and it was kind of a maybe top 5 player in many people's list. For a good weekend from him here. If London do want to try and make it far, back over towards LA Gorillas. Spart on your screens. Can he try and be a factor there to holding this hill and maybe try to take over the lead here in this game?
And then, of course, on the flip side for the side of Gorillas, I really think Blast needs to do something with the old Nighthawk, try to bump it up just a little bit, because 3 and 9. Not the normal stat line we come to expect from him, so definitely looking for him to turn things around. But if not him, Decimate on the flank, able to get 2 players out of the hill and, well, put himself inside. The Gorillas working on the comeback.
So far, so good. 20 seconds left. Unfortunately, though, for LA, it's going to be Zero that breaks inside the hill, and that final scrap 15 should be good for him. Problem, however, is it's LA Gorillas ready and waiting in the new hill. Zero with a big job to do as he looks to try and push around the outside. He has the support of a couple of teammates here. The pinch is coming through Cole. Keep your eye number 7 on the minimap. That's going to be Shawnee. If Shawnee can win a couple of gunfights, maybe that push could have come through. Unfortunately for Zero, though, he's found out and caught. Shawnee, though, does manage to find one. Unfortunately, though, I don't think it's going to be enough unless Scraps can try and pop off towards the backside of the map again, have support a couple of teammates, but so far it's LA Gorillas holding the hill.
And a lot of potential. I think it's actually Scraps, the last one out, maybe to make a play and try to take down Spart. He's able to win that gunfight, and now at the very least, the closer spawns essentially are going to go the way of the Ravens. Still, though, inside the hill, it took them that long to get the clearance. 30 seconds left on the point, but either way, they've maintained their lead. They're going to bump it back up just a little bit more, so it just means the Gorillas still in a bit of a tough spot.
Yeah, so close game. As you kind of so rightfully mentioned, the final 15 seconds of scrap looking good for London Royal Ravens. Once again, building themselves a cushion, but the more important thing here is keep your eye number 9 on the mini-map. That's unfortunate. I believe that was Zero. He was trying to influence spawns, of course, for P2. Instead, it's going to be Shawnee, his turn, just to push to the very, very far right side of the map. And if London do get control of that, again, Chance, this could be bad news for LA.
And not only that, this is one of the most interesting hills I think we have in the entire game. This P1 here, center platform on Gunrunner. This has been the least touched hill in all of the game by an absolute mile. And it's because of how much pressure every single team wants to put on and making sure they get the spawns for new. But there is a massive amount of time that is just left like unforgiving on this hill. And yes, sometimes it's just difficult to stay alive because it's out in the open. But even a moment like this, Gorillas, they probably could have gotten an extra, what, maybe 10, 15 seconds alone if they just wanted to stick inside, because it's not looking like they're going to be able to get those spawns anyway. So you might as well just try to get as much time on P1 as possible. And I think that's something that teams have been improving on a little bit, but there's a lot of room to grow.
And to that point, how many times have you seen games, 10, 20 seconds could be the difference maker? And maybe this could turn out to be that way. Blast a little of a slow start here. 9-14, just to kind of update you on the stats. Spart leading the way for LA Gorillas, 20-18. On the other side, it's Zero, the new man here for London, leading the way, 22-18. Again, questions asked by the community, can he do it with a sub? Well, he didn't have success for New York so far, though. In his first appearance here for London, things going pretty well for him.
Doing pretty well, but you got to make sure you get the win as well, because you do actually have the Gorillas on a very nice break over towards the point. But I will say, in all, a fairly fantastic job done by the Ravens on this hill. Blast again, the last man alive, seemingly multiple times for the Gorillas. And as soon as he falls, you got a little bit of pressure. Gorillas trying to put around back. But at this point, how much do you even want it? Because yes, the scrap time is going to be great, but not for the sake of losing spawns. And already, what do you got, Ravens? 2 players rotating over towards new.
Yeah, this could be bad news, potentially. Here on the horizon, Decimate, joined by Spart, Wuskin deep in the back of the map, trying to play his life, influence spawns, of course, but he's surrounded all 5 purple arrows. Really, there's nowhere Wuskin can go, but he's put himself in such a good spot, and I don't think they've actually been able to hunt him out. So as the pressure comes through Cole, Wuskin could maybe try and pinch, and that could have a really bad effect, and it does. You see the effect it has. London now spawning close to the hill. Can they try and break quickly, though? Because LA's still inside, still winning the fights.
And if you're still inside of this hill, you got a power position no matter what direction you're looking. Scraps with the nade is able to take down one, but you can see, even with the kills he's getting, his teammates aren't picking up enough of the slack, but him and his twin starting to move forward. Blast, the last man alive in the hill, but again, it doesn't matter where Blast is going to be. It's always a power position, and this is where he starts to pick things up.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for London. They would have loved to have broken through maybe a little earlier. Harkness's still going to be contested, and it's going to be Spart inside. He will fall. Finally, London get control, but it's only 15 seconds. But that 15 seconds is going to put them just a little closer to closing out game number 1. Nice shots from Dylan there inside the hill as Blast will fall. Now the rotation race is on. LA Gorillas will be there first, but they're going to need a big hold here, and more importantly, and more likely, a big break put into the next hill just to stay alive in this game.
And that means Spart is going to have to go big. Actually, no, he's got a little bit of clearance. His teammates actually have pushed out a ways against him, but still, you pointed it out, they're down by quite a bit, and the Ravens, it's any hill of the next 3 that they're going to be able to potentially win the game on. So, got to go off for the Gorillas. Someone's got to be that man, and you look at the feed, it's going to be none of them. The Ravens able to get inside the point with really no stress, no problems at all. They just waltz on in.
Yeah, that made it look a little simple. To be honest, the kill feed just all white, all in favor of London. And looking at the score, they can just close it out here. That contest will be enough to at least see a new hard point. But again, the problem for LA Gorillas, look at where those white arrows are, ready and waiting for the new hill to pop. This game number 1 surely over. And again, a quick glance at the stats. Zero with a big point to prove, I think, here in game 1. And he's proven it pretty well. 31-25, 30 seconds hill time. If you had any doubts about how he was going to gel with the team, well, hopefully game number 1 is at least a little bit of an answer. Plenty of Call of Duty still to be played, of course, but so far so good for London and the new man on the team.
So I'll get this out of the way. I do not doubt Zero, as the Ravens are going to be able to close this one out fairly comfortably. I don't doubt the man as an individual at all. However, I will say this is not the series to glean all of our information about Zero from. Again, the Gorillas on this map were 1-4. Yeah. I think it would have gone that way. You could have thrown maybe 35, 40 different players in place of Zero, and you would have gotten roughly the same result.
That's brutal. But brutal honesty, I think, is the truth. Again, to reiterate, if you are just tuning in, maybe you tuned in late, when you look at the maps and modes for this series, it's not good for LA Gorillas. I think their overall record chance, it was at 1-13, if I'm not mistaken, throughout the entire series.
Yes.
Which kind of begs the question, how has the Veto process gone that way? Obviously, you can look at the team and say, well, obviously there's a lot of new players. This team isn't exactly as it was when I'm sure some of those losses occurred. But still, man, that is not a good record. I mean, credit to London, I guess, for getting the maps that they wanted to play, maybe?
I mean, again, this is one of those things I don't think it really matters. Like, I think whatever this team has been doing in scrims the past few weeks, it's not going to be reflective of any of their records in game. Like, I would assume for the Search and Destroys, even, they've been making adjustments nonstop. Like, all of their map records are going to be subpar. There's no exception to that. So I do trust the coaching staff, and I do trust the team for Gorillas to make the best map set possible. There's just not a lot of good map sets for them.
Yeah, fair enough. Of course, for London Royal Ravens, a great start to the series. They take map number 1, 250 to 159. I know throughout some of the Warzone events that have been going on the past few weeks, I believe London and Atlanta FaZe, they had a little bit of bet. We have some tweets to show you here. I think, if I'm not mistaken here, Chance, Atlanta FaZe got to take over London Royal Ravens Twitter, and hilarity ensued, if you will. Some comical tweets, really, from the London Royal Ravens account, which, if you weren't sure, didn't really make much sense at the time, Chance.
I don't think that's what happened at all. I don't think there was a bet. I think that's all a conspiracy. I think someone for the Ravens, I think it might have been Pat or went and tweeted out, I love soccer, and it is called soccer. I don't know what this football stuff is. I think that's the Ravens social media manager just trying to throw his entire nation / continent under the bus. That's what I think happened then.
You're saying it was an inside job? That's
completely an inside job. The bet was just a ruse. Atlanta set them up. That's all it was.
Okay. Well, of course, there's a handful of the tweets from London Royal Ravens. Always good to see some friendly banter back and forth. I saw actually a post on the subreddit. Shout out to obviously r/competitive about this year and the improvement of social media between the teams, and I got to agree, it's great seeing just so much social interaction between so many of the teams. Obviously, it feels like everyone has their own identity. Like, for example, you look at the Florida Mutineers, just some of the great content they pump out. We talk about Minnesota Rocker, their content all the time, but it seems like every single team this season has stepped up to the plate, if you will, Chance.
I think as soon as the Dallas Empire put out the T-shirts of like the Dallas Router thing, as soon as that happened, I was like, all right, I'm cool with it. Everyone's got a sense of humor. Like, this is a great time. I would say overall the social media game absolutely has improved, and it's like 95% hits and like 5% misses. There's still a couple teams where I'm looking at them like, all right, guys, like we got to talk. We got to work some things out.
Y'all throw under the bus. Who are you talking about here, Chance?
Well, okay, there's one team in specific that I won't say because I don't want to be mean. I think my favorite moment, though, was from the Subliners, where after I can't remember who they beat. They beat some team at some event like 2 events ago, and it's when they just picked Mac Melts up and they look good, and then they immediately lost their next 2 series and got knocked out of the tournament. I was like, you probably shouldn't have talked a ton of smack on Twitter. Like, that was way too soon, but hey, it's all in good fun, so no harm, no foul.
Yeah, very true. Of course, very proud of our Call of Duty teams for the big step up on social interaction, because it's been quite a while, and it's great to see it's kind of a good split between all of those teams. But moving on, game number 2 here, Chance. Again, we've talked about the stats just in the series as a whole, but for London specifically, how does game 2 look? Is this maybe a map that potentially London could steal, or LA could steal?
I think it is. I think we're going to Piccadilly. I'm almost certain I'm doing this off memory, but I'm fairly certain I'm correct. I think there's a potential of a sniping battle between Wuskins and whoever the hell wants to be the sniper on this map for the side of Gorillas. And I think anytime you have a sniping battle, if one guy's got the hot hand, like Blast has been a phenomenal search and destroy player his entire career, before he even had a career, he was great at search and destroy. So I think it's one of those things that absolutely I'm going to favor the Ravens. I expect them to win at their home map of Piccadilly, since they know the exact layout of it since birth, effectively. But yes, it is a map that the Gorillas can steal. Maybe like a 70-30 to the Ravens. I
think it was Miles back in London when he went on the bus tour with the players, and the players were calling out. Very accurate. I will give IW credit there. It is a very accurate map. So yeah, Piccadilly and London Royal Ravens. We'll see if they can get the job done on home soil, essentially. As game number 2 about to load up for LA Gorillas. Of course, a slow start in this series, as statistically you would expect. And I guess the question is, what needs to happen for the LA Gorillas to not only just kind of turn the series, I mean, you can kind of short-term this series off, but just big picture, Chance. What do you look at and say, what needs to turn their season around?
You know, I've actually been trying to figure this out for like the past few hours, because my entire thing with the Gorillas is I expect them to be at the bottom 4 of the standings by the time the year's over. I think they're already just in too bad of a spot with the amount of CDL points they have. So I think their entire game plan should be, we need to figure out how we can put together a good champs run. But then I don't know how to actually pull that off. I don't know if you want to try out a bunch of new rosters, if you want to stick with this one and try to figure it out. If you want to become a team that is just purely an S&D specialist and say, hey, we don't have enough slaying power to consistently keep up with the respawns, we need to make sure we never lose a search and destroy again. I'm not saying that's the answer, but they need some sort of game plan that is purely for the long term, because again, they're just in that bad of a spot in the standings.
Yeah, that's definitely ours. Round number 1 starts off with the Vivid 2-piece. So good start for them, as you're talking about maybe you become S&D superstar team. Well, good start here in game 2 for the LA Gorillas. About 50 seconds on the clock. What's going to, of course, snipes out. And interesting player. I feel like every year we have the conversation about players who are so flashy with the sniper rifle, player who are consistent with the sniper rifle. Wuskin had varying degrees of success with it in Search and Destroy specifically. Sometimes it feels like he just disappears off the map. Can he find a pick, though, in this round to bring London back in? Has to be careful, of course, not to team kill as Shawnee bunny hops his way forward. Elsewhere, Scraps will fall, and this is a round which basically 100% is going to go to LA Guerrillas. And they seal the deal there with the final pick onto Wuskin.
And just to backtrack for a moment, obviously, fantastic round by the Guerrillas. You win it because you get the first bloods, but it seems like every year in Call of Duty, pretty much ever, like whatever team has been the best in Respawn has always been like the best team in the game. Have we really ever had a team that was like average or just straight up bad at like respawns, but so dominant at Search and Destroy that they still find tournament wins?
I mean, flat out bad, no. I think you could... you have to go way back in the history books. I mean, you could maybe make a team caliber back in Ghost when they're going toe to toe with Complexity, but they weren't by any means bad at Respawn.
Bad might be too far, but like
they were good. Their Search and Destroy was what, in my mind at least, made them a very talented team. But I guess no, not really. It's funny because it seems like it's a myth, right? S&D wins championships, and I think it was JP maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. He tweeted out saying, "Well, this is completely disproven when you look at the stats. It's just kind of like a myth. Yes, it's important because it is obviously 2 of the 5 game modes, and it's always the argument, right? Why don't players practice it? Why do players practice so much heavily, or why is their practice centered so much more around Respawn as opposed to Search and Destroy?" But that's a true question, Chance. I don't think so. It was good. It's the nice wallbang headshot there onto Blast, and all of a sudden, London find themselves in a 3v3.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to watch Wuskin with the sniper because obviously Zero is fantastic with one in his own right and has been the sniper for his teams for years now. But then Wuskins has just been so damn good this year that I think almost without question he gets to keep it no matter who you bring on the roster.
Over towards LA Guerrillas now. They find themselves 2v2. Wuskin up close and personal with the sniper rifle doesn't like this. Vivid will win that fight. The trade is there for Zero. 24 seconds, of course, left on the clock, and this turns into a 1v1. Zero should spot Decimate any second now. Unfortunately, though, doesn't find him quick enough. LA Guerrillas go up 2-0.
And Decimate apparently had his spidey senses tingling. He knew exactly where to prepare to get Zero, even though Zero, I'm pretty sure, popped dead silence for it. So great reads coming out of Decimate as an individual. And, of course, a nice little back-to-back round for the Guerrillas. I will say, one thing I wish that Wuskins did differently there, if you're one shot and you have a sniper and a pistol and you know the guy's going to be coming around the corner with like an MP5 or whatever it's going to be, I say just go for the World Star. Like try to snipe him, try to quick scope, no scope, whatever it's going to be, because like you're losing that gunfight with a pistol 10 out of 10 times. Like give the old World Star a try.
Yeah, it's actually weird to say, but that is probably the best chance you have of winning that fight in that situation. Is just go for the flashy, go for the elaborate, because playing safe isn't going to work. Zero finds the first blood this round, but that's instantly going to be eradicated by the LA Guerrillas. Vivid shut down Dylan. Decimate also found Zero throughout the chaos. Only does find one, though, so after the dust settles of the opening break, we find ourselves a 3 versus 3 situation. Of course, London on the attack. Shawnee has bomb in hand. You can see the way London have taken over the A site. 40 seconds to go, though. They will need to try and get this bomb down.
And no one from the Guerrillas has any care in the world about the potential of the bomb being planted over by A. Finally, someone makes the adjustment. And I will say on the other side, Scraps has had this bomb site open for the longest time, and they just don't have the information to try to go in the power positions. And when it all comes down to it, you got a 2v2. Bomb should be getting planted, but the Guerrillas are in the perfect spot to kill them off site.
And the problem is they never really got control of a top store. So because of that, they're still so worried about it. The flank comes through. Scraps now left in a 1 versus 2, a round which should have been just so basic and so easy for London to get bumped down. Turns out to be very complicated. Aqua going wide. Nice way of playing this 2 versus 1. Scraps really with no chance whatsoever of winning the round. LA Guerrillas 3-0 up.
And that had to have been a case of just a lack of information on the Ravens' part. Like, there was 1 or 2 players on the side of Guerrillas that they just never spotted out. Because you could see Scraps was still concerned about a player being up on top of the bookstore, right? Like, they just weren't sure if it was clear at all. He never tried to push forward to get, like, that control. And, of course, by the time they went for the plant, Guerrillas knew it was up. They made the perfect rotation and got another fairly clean round win.
Yep, absolutely right. It's been pretty much simple search, really, for LA, as Snipes out for Wuskin. sure he's happy with that outcome. He was potentially lining up for a collab, but Blast now quick to the party. He'll find first blood with a sniper of his own. Dylan is there to trade out, but again, after the start of the round, we find ourselves in another 3 versus 3 with quick trades ensuing every round. The difference here for LA Guerrillas is Aqua was so fast to get to that bomb site and so quick to get bombed down. London looking to retake.
Now the bomb is down. Aqua is effectively dead in this situation. You got all guns around. He's going to get taken care of, but the issue is now you have to deal with Blast with the sniper, and he just has to stare at the bomb, and you can see the angle he has for it.
Problem is, Zero was, of course, up top. He's dealt with by Decimate. Blast peaks, no one on bomb. Dylan and Wuskin still up for London. Is Dylan tagged up pretty heavily. He should surely fall in just a few moments' time. There's Decimate to help. And now Wuskin left once again. Try and clutch up. He's hits the shot onto Blast, but with 12 seconds, really should be nothing but a dream. Decimate should just play his time. Well played from him. The kill comes through. Don't think Wuskin is going to have time to defuse this unless he gets a little bit of lady luck on his side.
He does.
He doesn't. And that is LA Guerrillas with a 4-0 lead.
Nah, Decimate, he made me nervous for a moment with the quick shoulder peek when he was on the little ticket booth there, but as soon as he had his eye on the clock, he knew exactly what he needed to do, and Decimate played it perfectly. A type of situation he has been in for a very long time, but again, another clean round from the Guerrillas, and this is the type of thing this team is going to have to do to find success. They're going to have those incredibly annoying angles that Blast is going to hold the sniper to wiggle out these rounds and search and destroy, and they're going to have to do this for the remainder of the year in this game mode to, again, really even think about having success.
And again, just to reiterate the story that we were telling at the very beginning, is sometimes so hard just to be a team that has a lot of success, and Search and looks to steal a respawn, right? Because obviously you have S&D as game 2. Well, there's 3 respawns between it. So, yes, you could be the best team in the world as Wuskins hits a flashy second kill. Best Search destroyed team in the world, but you still have to win a respawn just to force that game 5. So, yes, for LA Guerrillas, this is looking good. As Wuskin is just basically putting on a montage. There's
Sniper
3.
ace!
Mage is fine.
Sniper ace!
Wuskin! They have families, man. Don't do it to him. Decimate. He's feeling it. He's feeling it. Wuskin, no! His teammate stole it. That's just bad manners.
Whoever took that kill is a dick. I'm just going to say it. There is no way in a 5 versus 1. Come on, Dylan. Why? Like, just let him get the kill. It's fun. It's easy. He's not missing shots. He's jumping off the stairs, hitting the quick scopes on Blast, winning the sniper battle. I say give the whole thing. But either way, top 5 play Wuskins with the sniper. Is anyone surprised?
Well, there you go. London get their first round. It only took Wuskin to pick up 4 players by himself.
Just like they wrote it down.
Gets the job done and gets London's first round on the board. Is for a minute there. Wuskin out just fire randomly and pick up a kill, but no. Unfortunately, he's not going to find it. He's going to have to play his life. No first blood just yet, though. As LA on the attack, they're eyeing up the B site. Every resources over on that side. Shawnee does get first blood, though. That's going to slow down LA, but you really want to find a second pick relatively quickly, as Wuskin has the info that Aqua crossed. Can't find a kill just yet. The nade may help. Unfortunately, hit markers. Vivid's crossed as well. Wuskin's going to have to be careful of that. The call-out comes through, and you see the movement so quick. The nade and the pistol. Wuskin putting on a highlight reel right now.
He got jinxed by the observers. When they were on him, he got every single kill imaginable, and as soon as they switch away, he gets sniped by a Blast. So, hey, they caught the action, but they cost Wuskins his life. But either way, the Ravens are up 4-2 in life count. And they need to start shooting straight. Dylan does get the kill with the MP5. I was nervous for a moment, but either way, should be clean for the round win.
A little scary as Blast should fall here. AR shots connect. And London win 2 in a row, but still a 2-round deficit.
Just more questions I have. Like, I really want to know how good Wuskins actually is, because obviously he's been fantastic, but like, if this team was winning tournaments, he would be MVP and we'd be calling him the best player in the world. But it's just because the team as a whole is not having success. I don't know exactly where to place him in like the overall CDL rankings. It's so tough to gauge it.
If I'm honest, I think at the start of the year he was without question a top five player, right? I think that's. I fail to see really how you can argue against that. It's just where do you put him in the top 5? For me, that's irrelevant. He was a top 5 player. I think confidence in team results is what maybe slowed down his individual performances, and just that maybe not having the success that he thought they should be having based off his performances. And I think that may have kind of weighed him down just a little bit in individual confidence, because that's one thing that he talked about really at the start of the year, was just how confident he felt as an individual, playing the game more than he's ever played, grinding more than he's ever grinded. And when you don't see positive results, I think that kind of affects you mentally. And, well, so far here, only 2 maps in, or 1.5 maps really. Wuski's playing pretty well as again finds success with the sniper rifle. And he find one more here as he looks to put London within 1 round of tying things up.
All 35 seconds on the clock, and the information Vivid got, you can see he's expecting the full commitment towards the B site. You actually still have Aqua leaning towards the A site. He finds Scraps. Now you know for a fact the bomb is coming B. You take Dylan down, you're in a great spot. Now you know the bomb is going to be forced to plant it. You got the man advantage. Just make sure you trade out the kills, and frankly, you can wait for Aqua to make the play on the flank.
Yeah, 2 versus 3. There's gas bomb down, but wouldn't really be losing this. Blast has to be careful. Low peeking doesn't get caught out. Because you have most of the angles covered. For London, this is a pretty tough spot because as soon as you get 1 kill, you expect the trade to be almost instant. Wuskin surely should fall here, and, well, Shawnee, no chance at the back of the map. LA themselves now 1 round away from taking game 2.
Yeah, it's just a very nice job well done by the team. You know one guy's on the flip side has a sniper. Make sure you identify him, and as soon as you do that, once you get the first kill, the round is pretty much free. We were watching Blast clear out all of the information possible, and then his teammates come in and pick up at least the very first kill to get the nice bounce back round, and the Guerrillas regaining some momentum that they did lose for 2.
Well, LA on the attacking side, can they close it out offensively here? Look at the stats. Decimate 9 and 3. Great performance from him. And again, Wuskin having a lot of success here. 10 and 6. It's brother Scraps really struggling. 1 and 5 is 0 falls for a first blood. All things looking good here for LA. Eventually close out game 2. The trade from Vivid is enough. There's 2. There's number 3. Vivid maybe working on a highlight reel of his own. As Dylan slides through, he shuts down Aqua. Nice kill from Shawnee as well. Vivid and Decimate. And a 2 versus 1 now. Decimate finds 1 and almost found the second. Dylan just survives. 1 versus 1. Vivid knows exactly where Dylan is. Doesn't want to push just yet. Has to be careful. Now Dylan has the information, and Dylan connects the shots. Clutches up big time. London stay alive.
Working on the comeback. You need some plays like that. A cheeky little 1v2 coming in from Dylan, who, as far as useless stats go, for my money, he probably has the highest button press input in all of the league. Watching him play, he just plays a different game than 90% of Call of Duty players, even in the Pro League. He's just a little bit different, Ben. A little bit different.
I don't even want to imagine how many controllers he goes throughout just an event.
Throughout a tournament?
Yeah, just throughout an event, let alone the season. But I tend to agree with you there, Chance. That's for sure. Now it's London's turn. Back on the attack. This time in a lot of pressure. Bottom shop. Aqua feels it. Aqua gets a double. Dylan and Zero both fall. Big advantage here for LA.
That pretty much should seal the deal, Bar. Well, I guess if Wuskin says the sniper, you never really know, but still more than likely 5 versus 3, you're on defense. You got pretty much just solid map control. You're in a pretty fantastic spot. But gunfight's going down, and Scraps really just the island man for his team. He's just, dancing, right? There's just nothing for him to do. Sniper gets dealt with, and that, my friends, is going to be a GG. Guerrillas get the bounce back game.
Oh. Wasn't really very pretty in game 1, but game 2, at least the very beginning, was a masterclass of search and destroy, and LA Guerrillas close it out, tying up the series, of course, 1-1. No sweep, of course, for London, but still potential. They can just win all the respawns relatively comfortably and take the series 3-1. But overall, we were talking about search and destroy, and going back in history, looking at teams that had a lot of success. Between LA Guerrillas there, if they could keep that up against the top teams, maybe, just maybe, they could start winning some more series and earning some more CDL points, Chance.
It really would be interesting to see where the coaching staff heads are collectively at for the side of Guerrillas, but at least for initial 2-bit analysis that I've thought about for, again, a few hours at best, definitely not every waking moment of every day, but it might just be a situation where you're expecting, hey, toe-to-toe against a lot of the best teams, we simply just don't have enough slaying power in the respawns. We have to become the S&D specialist team. So again, a fantastic game number 2. Vivid threw up 10, Decimate threw up 10, and frankly, if it wasn't for Wuskin's sniper, it probably would have just been the hot 6-0.
I was going to say, yeah, you look at Wuskin as basically winning London around by himself. He finished the game with 10 kills, 4 of which came with a sniper rifle in 1 round. So again, good stuff from him. Just unfortunately, London not able to take game number 2 despite Wuskin's best efforts. And you're absolutely right. Decimate, Vivid, both 10 kills apiece. A fantastic performance there from the LA Guerrillas in game 2, but still a lot of work still to be done. And a quick commercial break. When we return, we've got ourselves game 3.
Time to claim your spot.
They got to hold on to a few more kills, and Dashy, a player we haven't talked about too much in this map so far, is absolutely ripping his way through those 3 players. Lovely stuff there from Dashy, and once again we're seeing a great hold here from Optic as the kills just don't stop for Dashy.
Yeah, it really doesn't get any better than this.
The 1 versus 2, TJ and Slasher up. Slasher spotted, tagged up, good read from Cellium, but can't find either kill. And with 15 seconds, Slasher has to plant the bomb. Cellium in position to make a huge play here for Atlanta FaZe. Bomb planted, Slasher down, 1v1. Cellium tagged up, plays his life so very well. DJ had a great 1v1 clutch in this exact scenario earlier on today. Can he produce the goods once again? Cellium with 30 seconds left. DJ spots him cross. Now Cellium has the information he needs. Time ticking. Players tagged. And Cellium gets the pick! Cellium! A huge, huge clutch from him!
Now starting the plant. Slasher's gonna take one down. Has to get the bomb planted. They know it. Oh, he's able to find another one.
Oh my God.
Can he do it again?
Oh my God.
Can he do it again?
You better hit the shot, Wuskin! He can't hit the shot! Slasher.
Oh my gosh!
Already with a 1v2.
He's got
Might
Daddy.
get the
He's got
1v3
Daddy.
here as well, and he does it!
Well, there's going to be a free kill for Alex. That's number 3 this round. Leaves Temp and is lonesome for the 1v4. The big problem, Minnesota Rocket know exactly where he is, but Temp will find the first pick. No bomb planted just yet. Makes things maybe a little interesting. 1 versus 3. Smoke out top window. Another freebie for Temp. If you keep trying to plant, Temp keeps going to kill you. you got to make sure that you have that top window covered. You rarely see 1v4s, but Temp could be about to produce something special as long as he doesn't get baited here into going straight through the door. Both players covering. Temp's shut down corner. I can't believe it. 1v4 on the cards, all down to Assault. I think Temp may have just got the audio cue. He so desperately needs the double punch. Temp for the 1 versus 4.
Now Zuma on the bomb. He gets taken down. Simp with his second in his round, and I like that. And they immediately go for the plant. You see Celium's position all the way in the back. He's just playing for this bomb plant now. They have this setup they want. Simp with number 3. Temp those on the defuse. Temp's on it. He just jumps on it, Clint. He's in the smoke. He's in the smoke. Priesta!
Priesta, he's right up! Priesta, he's below you! Priesta, he's on you!
That's a defuse!
Temp, you got a play that stands out this season? That's
Hello,
like your best
sir.
player. Never mind. Of course, there a look at our PlayStation top 5 plays. We've had some fantastic plays, really, throughout the season, Chance. There are just 5 of them, of course. But as today gets going, currently in the series we're watching, tied 1-1, LA Guerrillas versus London Royal Ravens. But before we jump into Game 3, I want to talk a little bit about Warzone, because there's been some exciting tweets coming out. Obviously, everyone loves the game mode for the most part, at least, right? But the thing I'm super stoked for, right, and it's about time we get to see this, is I've always asked the question, what happens if the best players in the world all dropped in to the same map, right? We've seen so many kill races specifically. Well, finally, we get our answer. I believe this Sunday, all those answers will be met. We have ourselves a Warzone weekend, if you will. 12 pro teams, all of our pro teams, basically drop into Warzone's first ever private lobby and fight for $10,000. You can see all of the action this Sunday. So make sure you tune into that. And if you have any questions, I'm sure you'll see plenty of promotion around on social media. I'm curious to see though, Chance, who do you think comes out on top of all the pro teams?
Don't know. I'm not saying I don't care necessarily, because like I'm going to be entertained to watch. But the part I care a lot about is I want to know how they decide which guy isn't going to get a spot. Like if you only get 4 players that are allowed to play, like how do you vote the man off the island? I think it should be a requirement that every CDL team has to put out a press release statement explaining in great detail why whichever player is the worst at Warzone, they tell them why they got the boot. That's what I want.
I honestly agree. I think it'll be quite comical. But again, moving back onto topic, the series we have at hand, I want to take a look at our U.S. Army tactical play from Game 2. There was a fair amount of good plays. It kicked off with Vivid and a nice 2-piece to open up the entire search and ensure. And then, of course, Wuskin later on in the game. If you had any doubts about his sniper ability and maybe if he was keeping it out too long, he answered those doubts, didn't he, Chess? Fantastic 4-piece. Probably should have got the ace, but Dylan is, well, he's a scumbag, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I was like, obviously, they didn't get a ton of round wins, right? And they, like, obviously, Guerrillas were making more of the better plays, but, like, you picked up 4 in a matter of, like, 10 seconds or 15, whatever it was. Like, you got to bow down. He just hit every single shot with his sniper. The second kill he had on Blast was just picturesque as well. And it's one of those things that, like, there's not really an ongoing debate, but everyone kind of has, like, their side, what team they're on, either Team AX50 or Team HDR. Personally, I'm an AX50 kind of guy. I like the sight infinitely more. I'm not a fan of, like, the default sight for the HDR, but I watch Wuskins use it, and I'm a believer. And, like, I want to go make a class and just try it out, because, like, sometimes it just seems like there's just an essence of something magical when he's using the sniper, Ben.
It's so often the case, right? You'll see a player just pop off, get a nice little clip, and you're like, all right, what's he using? All right, what
are the attachments? Let me go to his Twitch chat real quick, hit a command, like I need to know.
Oh, dearie me. It's game number 3 underway. Domination, of course. And we'll see if London can find their success once again in the respawns. Or potentially, could LA Guerrillas have maybe an upset on the cards? Okay, coming into the series, many people would have had London as favorites. After game number 2, if somehow LA is able to force a game 5, you never know. As seems like both home hills have been capped up and both actually have been flipped, as LA now fighting for control over B.
And if you'd like, Ben, we can play a bit of the old good news or bad news. Which would you like first? And this is from the perspective of the Guerrillas.
Okay, hit me with let's start with the bad news, Chance.
The bad news on this map, they're 0-3. which is,
that's
not good.
Okay, but so what's the good news?
So are the London Royal Ravens. Everyone's 0-3. No one's won on this map the entire year in Dom, so it's going to be a barn burner.
Potentially a close one on the cards as LA Guerrillas lock up the mid-neutral, be under their control. They can try now to start to build themselves a lead with just over a minute 20 seconds gone so far here in game 3. Very low-scoring game, and all tied up as we got pressure over towards C. Zero doing a good job. Will he be able to neutralize? No, he won't. Spark saves the day, finds the kill just in the nick of time.
And it was a nice little setup coming out from the Guerrillas as well, because they kind of left the C-spawn open just a bit and actually put together a ton of map pressure, but had enough bodies that could wrap back, come in through the showers, and make sure that they protect the C flag. Now, of course, though, all the way over on B, Ravens, while I'm trying to break down some useless kills, apparently have just recaptured the point. And, of course, yes, they're down by a few, but the comeback, well, it's already real. It's already in, especially if Zero's going to be the hero man putting pressure on that C flag.
Hey, he's done it very, very well so far. And with 3 minutes to go, it's basically a tied game once again, 26-25. As all flags currently being contested, this seems like a good enough time as any to send it over to an Astro Gaming listening with the London Royal Ravens.
I don't know where green. One B dead. Green alley dead. Nice. I'm waiting. Green dead. Dead. One more green. Green. On top two. Wait. He dropped rock. Pushing out mid. Good job.
That's it.
You on me? You. I'm pushing at you.
Make sure you hold me. I'm D back in.
What the fuck is gosh? Yeah. Wait, box. Where's Vivid? Box. Spawn B. See us. Spawn C. I'm gonna go to street straight away, boys.
One B. Rock down.
Down B.
Back
B.
No, for the life of me, I've never been able to tell if Wuskins and Straps have given me a dish. I have no idea.
Two there, bro.
Two on C.
Make that crack.
C again. He's on B. Two at C.
One Big kills. He hasn't got a trophy.
Nice. Coming now. What's working? PP now. On B.
Behind me, bro.
Side B.
I'm
you, brother. You.
I still have
I'm pushing P. Push out, John. I want to head in. You. One shot. Where did you go?
Back from the crates.
Well, there, of course, a listening with our London Royal Ravens, and I'm sure for many, just listening to the Twins communicate could be a little tough. It could often sound like a foreign language to, I'm sure, Americans out there, and of course, our other foreign people watching the stream. As with a minute 10 to go, London do have the advantage chance, and more importantly, they're really trying to put pressure here for a trip cap.
And they're doing a pretty good job of it. The Guerrillas, of course, they'll eventually get the A spawn out, so they kind of just have flipped the maps on its head just a little bit, but either way, as long as the Ravens are able to retain that B control, which they're in a fantastic spot to do so, they're going to be in a great spot by the end of this half.
50 seconds to go, and again, just trying to build that lead. I don't think they're really going to be able to put the game out of reach in just 40 seconds. It would require really a trip cap for the remaining time to maybe put that seed into your mind. But on board with Vivid and try and close out this round in style. Well, there's a double kill. Pressure over towards B. Should be shut down relatively quickly. Here has the support of Shawnee, and well, for London, they've done well. 20-point lead, and again, pressure coming on all sides of the map. As you glance over at your stats, it's Decimate that leads the way in the first half, 11-9. On the flip side, 11-7 is Zero, whose respawn effect is definitely there, right? This is what you wanted. You wanted a player to come into London and have a positive impact in terms of the slaying, just relieve maybe a little bit of pressure on the map, and you're getting exactly that output from Zero.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that by the end of this tournament, the thing you'd really have to look at for this team is, one, Zero stats compared to Jerd. I think Jerd is sitting at like a 0.85 roughly. Obviously, it looks like Zero is going to improve upon that, but where does it start getting taken away from? Like, where are the kills that Zero is getting? Who's not going to be picking them up for the rest of the team? I'd imagine Wuskins will probably end up taking the biggest hit statistically if Zero can kind of keep up the pressure, but that'll be the identifying factor to see really what kind of impact he's had on the in-game stuff with the team's performance.
And we're going to need a lot more maps, really, to really get that data and start to digest the actual effect Zero is having. But, I mean, so far, so good, right? Even in the Search and Destroy, he didn't necessarily have a full game there.
Yeah, not great, but it's fun.
He was okay. But second half of domination now underway. It is, of course, London with the advantage, 88-68. Pressure now onto C as well. Still remains completely neutral. Finally, LA Guerrillas retake control of C, but the pressure really coming in now over towards A, and it's going to be Blast who's trying to lead that charge for LA Guerrillas. Two players surrounding him, though. Waskin goes wide, and Waskin picks up the kill.
I will say, though, of course, like 2 players spent all that time trying to hunt Blast down, so Vivid is able to get a little bit of pressure and push past the B flag, and he gets sniffed out immediately. So that's some great communication coming out of the old Ravens. But either way, it's still going to be the Guerrillas with all the pressure over towards that B flag. It's just a matter of whether they can get that final tick in.
It's as if maybe this could be the push. A little reinforcements coming. Perhaps may fall here. As Shawnee just tried to bunny hop his way across. In actual fact, London have done a good job of just staying alive, Chance.
Staying alive, and again, just trying to pour that pressure on. As you can see, it's been the Guerrillas with at least the pressure advantage pretty much this entire half, but not a great deal of success at all of getting this B flag captured. Shawnee now the front man with the trophies out, MP5 ready to go, and frankly, it's not on the Ravens. There's no pressure for them. They just have to keep the Guerrillas off the flag. They don't need to force themselves into the capture unless they have a good opportunity to do so. And even when you see the Guerrillas putting all the pressure over towards B, Scraps just waiting to make his move and try to flip the map on its head once again as he's going for the neutral on C.
It's just plays like that Scraps needs to make, and London in general need to make. Keep being annoying, keep forcing LA Guerrillas to maybe try and concede that B flag, find yourself an opening, and put pressure on the other side of the map. It's number 9, that's going to be 0. Actually spawns back C, and could be a blessing here for London Royal Ravens. Taking his time now, he has support. C flag should be neutralized relatively quickly. It's now a 2 versus 1 as the trade is instant there from Dylan, so C should be decapped. Now can London secure A, or at least hold it for maybe a little longer here. Vivid putting the pressure run. He'll find Scrap, but you still have London players spawning over towards A, so essentially, Chance, the map in chaos.
Yeah, and a lot of players spawning towards C as well. Like 2 players from the Guerrillas spawn up, someone for the Ravens spawns right behind him, and I'm pretty sure Guerrillas know that they're never going to be able to get that C flag, at least for the foreseeable future, because that spawn's going to keep coming in. So not an easy thing to do, so they try to put the pressure on A, but you just have so many corners and so many hiding holes that the Ravens can play in, and it is so difficult to go and take them down. And you see Wuskins in the feed and on the minimap making the big play over towards A to make sure he can seal the deal on the flag.
London just spawned at C. They made their way over towards B. Instantly LA. They spawned over towards C. Somehow, 0 spawned at C as well. So expect that pressure to come through relatively quickly. As London, 125 to 105, the lead they have. 2 minutes to go. This is by no means done and dusted here, Chance. Still a very realistic chance for LA Guerrillas to take this game.
Realistic chance, but again, their work is cut out for them, because you talk about the annoying aspect of Dom is you have that C flag just captured once again. It's just going to be the constant annoyance of one guy from the side of Ravens. It doesn't matter who it needs to be. It can be anyone. Can just make that sort of sneak play, put pressure onto the enemy's home flag, and as long as you get the neutral, you're just dragging bodies back to you and opens up the map over towards B. And frankly, we only got a minute and 20 left. This is already do or die time for the Guerrillas. They're going to need that 2 cap.
Yeah, they're going to need to essentially put pressure on neutralize C if nothing else. And there's one man in a position to try and do it. It's actually going to be Vivid on the other side of the map. Unfortunately, he will fall. London know they can just be a nuisance, put pressure over towards A, which is exactly the game plan, which comes through from Dylan. And honestly, with about 60 seconds left, this map view really the most important thing here, because you can see where all of that pressure is coming through. For LA Guerrillas, you've got to be quick, you've got to be aggressive. Yes, you need B, but you also need C now as well. For London, it's plays just like this, which should at least secure you game number 3.
Yeah, the triple cap is necessary. It has been for, 20, 30 seconds, whatever it's been. You can see all the people on the Ravens just sitting in corners on the bottom right side to protect C, and Scraps is allowed to be the hero man to make the cap on A. And look at how difficult that is to deal with from the side of the Guerrillas. Scraps just gets the neutral, leaves, and then it is free kills for him when he had to hop back on the flag. So fantastic stuff by Scraps towards the end, and of course by the Ravens pretty much the entire game.
And instantly, as soon as London recognized that, they all leave C, they all flood over towards B. And for LA Guerrillas, they're just essentially chasing shadows at that point. A nice game 3 from London. By no means massively convincing one, but again, 0 with a nice performance, 19 and 19. And he's going to be the highlight, really, for me, for most of this series, just to see how he is gelling back with some former teammates, of course. But 159, 135. London Royal Ravens go 2-1 up in the series, and kind of back to the point you made at the very, very beginning is, yes, for LA Guerrillas, you can focus on search and destroy as much as you want, but you will still have to win a respawn to try and force a game 5. And, well, game 1 wasn't really a blowout, but it wasn't very close either. It felt to me as if London were in control, right, throughout pretty much the entirety of game 1. And I mean, I would expect the same really for game 4, and the stats kind of say kind of tell that story as well.
Yeah, I mean 0-3 on Ramaz Hardpoint for the side of the Guerrillas, 2-2 from the side of London. And I will say, like, it's not a blow up by normal Hardpoint standards, but like for this game, it's pretty close. Like if you're winning by more than like honestly 70 or 80 points, that's about as clean as you're realistically gonna see. But I do think by the end of at least like the regular season or whatever we call it for all these home series tournaments, you're gonna be able to have clips of pretty much all the casters by the end of it saying almost the exact same thing for the Guerrillas of like, hey, this is the situation, the do or die. They're gonna have to win at least one of these respawns to force the game 5 to even have hope of winning that series. And well, here we are. They need to win this Hardpoint to force the game 5 to even have hope of winning the series. Because of course, when we go to map number 5, it's not like they're too great on that same Petro S&D either. Because again, the Guerrillas 0-2.
And again, just to reiterate the story, really, as soon as you saw the maps and modes, the first thing you said is, well, LA Guerrillas 1-13 through the entire series. So
yeah.
Very interesting and quite surprising, really, that a lot of these maps went through. But just overall, I think their record across the board is going to be pretty low, considering just how low in the standings they are and the results that they've been able to get throughout the season so far. But as the pro games, of course, start to find themselves in full swing, excited for some challenger action as well. Chance, I know both myself and you, we casted some of them, and it's been a ton of fun. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think it's important, again, to bring it up. Challenger action starting to heat up, and you're seeing more and more of those players now starting to be picked up by some of our pro teams.
That's good. That was going to be my big point of like, this is the 1 year I expected to happen the least of like amateur players getting plucked up into like the top ranks. I figured the substitute system was going to be a caveat to that. Like you already have players on the payroll. Why are you going to bring someone else on? And then here we are, players left and right. Some like we've also gotten to the point where I don't really know much about these guys anymore, right? Like I used to know all the things. Like I used to cast 1K tournaments all the time back in AW, and casting the amateur like every single weekend for however many months. That gave me enough information on amateur players for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Like I always knew, this is the first real generation of these kids that are turning 18. I'm like, haven't seen anything from him before because he hasn't been allowed to play. Apparently the kid is disgusting, and now you have a guy like Awakening that's on the Florida Mutineers, who a lot of these players we're just seeing for the first time in the CDL of all years, Ben.
Yeah, it's a surprising one, really, right? Yes, in a year where you would have thought it would have been dominated by veterans, more and more new names coming in and really trying to make a name for themselves. Some having a lot of success, of course. I mean, you look at Mac Melts, for me, a player relatively unknown at the start of the year, comes in on a success so far. Admittedly, not massive success, but just in terms of individual performances, he's been right up there and deserving, really, of a starting spot so far in one of the CDL franchises. And I'm excited to see who else, right, can potentially come through and make a name for himself for the rest of the year. Is Awakening, maybe another big name that we'll be talking a lot about throughout the rest of the year.
And definitely not one of my better stories, but the only MacMeld story I really have is actually funny. I know it doesn't happen this year because we don't have ranked play, but I bumped into him last year during Black Ops 4. Okay. And I'm like, it's one of those times you like see the name and you're like, wait, is this like an AM player? Like, do I know him? And then the question is how well did they do in game? I got completely destroyed by him. And then I checked Twitter and I was like, yeah, that was the guy. I'll try to keep an eye on him in the future. So hopefully that's something we can get a taste of next year, potentially then.
Whenever you see Melts in someone's gamer tag, you know this is either going to go one of two ways.
You put the sweatband on, you get prepared, you drink the game fuel, you get ready to go.
Elbows touch knees, you're leaning forward, and you're sweating, that's for sure. As game number 4 of this series about to get underway now. London Royal Ravens, of course, with the advantage 2-1. Can LA Guerrillas force the game 5 though? I said at the start, for some reason I had a feeling that this could maybe go the distance just for how both teams' season has gone so far, and well, we'll wait and see if LA Guerrillas can try and make that kind of prediction reality. And so far, so good. They get the early time, and more importantly, of course, they have control over the spawns for PT.
And I will say, just to kind of touch on the general storylines of these two teams, for the Gorillas, I don't necessarily think this is a must-win game. Again, I think their entire mindset should be shaping up for champs, just getting that preparation and making sure that the final tournament is your best one sort of thing. Yeah. And for the Ravens, I think this is actually a pretty important map for them to win. I think they just want to get the Gorillas series out of the way because it's a new roster, new man on the team. Potentially there's a mental block or like a lack of confidence once you get down the line. And going to a Game 5 against the Gorillas and potentially losing the series is one of the worst things that could happen to your confidence yes. as soon as you make that roster change.
Honestly, you're absolutely right. That could be pretty destructive. Of course, when the roster was made, there was a lot of questions about just London Royal Ravens in general. Why was that 5, or the core 5 at the time at least, picked? And there was a lot of drama and storylines, of course, which go back a few years between the players and just genuine dislike between them. However, now, of course, Europe finds himself starting for his home team, if you will, London Royal Ravens, and I know he feels pretty good to be back home, if you will, competing for London. And so far this series, he's been pretty good and started off here very well as well, 6-4. A lot of questions posed, and I saw, again, just to refer back to the subreddit, people even there just kind of saying, well, can he do it with a sub? We haven't seen a lot of success, but I know he said himself, look, this is all I've been doing, right? All I've been doing for the past few months is playing with a sub. It's not rocket science, so to speak, and I mean, so far, so good. An 8-5 start from him.
And he also made massive plays at the start of the hill as well. He was able to pick up 3 while hanging out over by construction, and that allowed his teammates to just flip the hill and take the 4-on-2. So all of this time, effectively, Zero was the biggest important piece of the team for making they can secure it and lock it down. So great stuff from him. Of course, though, the Gorillas trying to bounce back. They are set up very, very well across the map right now, and frankly, they should be able to at least retake the lead. The question is, how far can they bump it up before the Gorillas, or the Royal Ravens, excuse me, break through?
I was going to say, you should really expect to see that disappear, but London decided to just jump straight through the window, and it was Dylan that flew, and he was able to find one. Now can the trades follow? Zero through the side. He'll find one again, doing a good job of just staying alive. Unfortunate reload timing for him. We'll see him fall to Decimate. Decimate actually gets himself a double. London's still trying to be a nuisance here, and they have managed to break through, but you still see the trades come. And honestly, if you're London fan here, you're probably pretty happy with that overall result, considering the setup LA Gorillas had at the start there.
I mean, again, the expectation is, yes, they're going to be at least able to tie the game up, if not take the lead, and the Gorillas do just that. But that just means that I would say the Ravens should be able to put themselves in a good position to rotate, but that is not the case in the slightest. The Gorillas have worked out the spawns perfectly, so they're down by 4, but now they have the best setup they could possibly ask for on construction. And you talk about the money hill on the map, this is one of them. Now you got Aqua inside hanging out with his teammates and tried to throw a nade and got destroyed by Dylan, who wastes 0 time of flying through.
And not about to waste any time whatsoever. Goes straight in. 95 kills is now on board with Shawnee. I feel like we haven't really seen much of Shawnee throughout this series. He's relatively quiet. Not necessarily that that's a negative thing. Just been kind of doing his job. He sits even 9-9. There's London with a little bit of control, but it is really only thanks to scraps, and well, he'll fall, and LA Gorillas, with 24 seconds left on this hill, can build themselves their biggest lead so far here in Game 4.
And again, just really with that pass rotation, have put themselves in a very nice spot, and it looks like the final gunfight's inside the hill. Blast is able to win that very final one-on-one, and that's going to buy them 15 seconds. They're going to jump up to a 40-point lead, and pretty much good to go. Even if the Ravens put themselves together, a very nice hill over towards the tunnel. Still, it's going to be, what, roughly a tied game by the end of this, more than likely.
On 110-81, pressure should come from the LA Gorillas, and to your point, that's where you expect to see just maybe some pauses here, and some contests, if you will, on the hard point, and any points being earned from London. But so far, so good for London as they look to maybe try and retake the lead themselves. But this is what you have to be careful of. It's Blast hitting the flank. There's the first. Unfortunately, won't find the second, but the pressure comes in the hill. Vivid surely will clean that up, and does so with relative ease. London still spawning close, though. Another contest should come through shortly here. Smokes are out. Wuskigan, don't know how you won that gunfight. But Aqua trades out with an aid. Nicely done. 2-piece for him.
And this is beautiful hill from the Gorillas. Again, the expectation for me was Ravens, they had the full setup, they got across the board, but they're not able to rack up really any substantial amount of time. And, well, you talked about the Ravens really needing a confidence boost, making sure they get the clean and easy wins. The Gorillas, though, they might just want to bounce back and win the series, right? Like, hell, it's one of those things I've said many, many times, how far down they are in the CDL standings. I don't expect them to be able to bounce back. But, hell, they come out and win the tournament, you get 50 points, you go from 12th place to, I think, like 6th. So I'm not saying it's likely, Ben, but frankly, that's what the team is going to be gunning for. And if it happens, I'll happily eat my words.
Decimate leading the charge here, 18 and 13, 32 seconds hill time, as tries to break in. London concede it. In the middle, just reposition and try and break once again. Dylan will lead that charge. Unfortunately for Dylan, that was a very short-lived charge, as London all falling. And honestly, LA Gorillas in a great spot here. Potentially force a game 5, 158, 120. London do have control of P2 spawns, but you need to see a full hold here.
Well, they did get the full hold last time, of course. Last time they effectively did it from the front. Again, Zero was the man that was making big plays. This time, Zero's responsibility. Watch the push from the old hill, and, well, it looks like that's an incredibly strange angle for him. Is he hanging out on the ladder?
Yes, he is. I'm actually very upset that we didn't stay with him a little longer, because that was a unique,
so strange.
A unique way of holding an angle, and Spark must have kind of looked at him and said, what in the hell is going on here? He found that kill, and, well, either way, LA trying to contest the hill, and London will hold just briefly. And if you're asking questions, maybe it would be Zero okay? Did he freeze? No, he's perfectly fine. He gets himself a double there in the kill feed. Vivid, though, does break into the hill, and this is bad news. Worst case scenario here for London Royal Ravens, still with a bad spawn. And really, if LA can cut the map here well and find those kills in transition towards the new hill, they might actually just be able to close this game out.
And this has been maybe the third hill where at the start of it I'm thinking, all right, Ravens in a good spot. They got the hold. They're set up in a decent spot. They might chip away at that lead. Eventually, Gorillas are just able to break through. They've been very consistent with it, so they're showing up on this game, and Vivid, the man leading the charge, at least in terms of slang. And actually, what the hell is that scoreboard? You got -8 for Spart, Aqua's negative, Blast is only +1, Vivid negative, and Decimate only +2, and they're by 50. That is some very well orchestrated work on Rammaza.
Yeah, it just shows you're fundamentally playing well, I guess, right? I mean, when they're inside the hill, they're picking up a ton of time. I mean, you look at the hill time, everyone doing their share. 46 seconds, 54, minute 14, 56 there from Decimate. Vivid, the only one under, about 50 seconds as he sits inside this hill, though, so that's only going to go up. The kill feed all purple. LA Gorillas looking good here to force that game 5. London falling asleep in game 4.
And this is fantastic. Again, the Gorillas just working to find their 30th CDL point if they're able to get this win in the series, and they put themselves in a decent spot to at least be able to visibly see that map 5 over the horizon, moving over towards construction where, again, effectively they get a near 5-man setup, right? You got 2 men that are the cutoff that are pushed up front, you got a couple men that are in the hill, and now you got Blast coming off spawn, and that's the exact place he wants to be spawning with the AR, because now he gets a view of the back door and making sure that no one from the Ravens can sneak on through.
Yep, that old school anchoring right there from Blast. Just sat, waiting, holding down the spawns and watching an important lane, of course, as his teammates inside the hill will have to try and hold, and they're only going to need to hold for another 12 seconds, and this will be GG. We'll head to a game 5. Can London even get there in time? I think the answer may actually just be a flat out no. LA Gorillas question their respawn, and they respond with a great game 4. Fundamentally so sound, 250 to 146. That is, all things considered, a big win in terms of points. Almost kind of a blowout, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely blowout. And again, I was saying earlier, like you were asking about the map setting, like did the pick and bans go well? And I was like, I don't think there's any map where they're really going to have a great record. So like, yes, they're 1-3 in Rammaza, but they've been scrimming for however many weeks now with this full roster. I think they're maybe at 2 months now with the team, whatever it's going to be. Like they know what maps they're getting themselves into. Clearly they put the work on Rammaza. And even that final setup they had towards the end, they had what? Blast in the back van watching like the full flank for his team. You had 1 man sitting inside the hill just hanging out with nothing to do. And then you had 3 guys that were pushed out over towards like rugs. Like they were so far pushed out aggressively towards the hill that the Ravens couldn't get a foot anywhere near it. It was a fantastic hold. Honestly, probably one of the better ones we've seen so far this year, at least on that specific hill. And maybe improvements are here, Ben. Maybe we have, or maybe we've sold them too short.
I don't know why, but at the start of the day, I just had that feeling, man, that this was going to go the distance, and If you want me to be completely honest, I have a feeling LA Guerrillas might actually just take it. And all the honeymoon talk of, London Royal Ravens getting the band back together and everyone feeling great could all be for nothing. And to the point you made, and I think it's a fantastic point, that is the worst possible thing, all things considered, that could happen when you have a new team and you're playing the team dead last in the standings as well. You're thinking, all right, this should be cruise control. We should be able to just get through it. In reality, it's going the distance. Game 5 on the horizon. We'll go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this.
The United States Air Force. Learn more at airforce.com. Grubhub. Unlimited perks every single day. It doesn't get more delicious than that. PlayStation 4, the official platform partner of the Call of Duty League.
Want to play Search and Destroy like a pro? Here's some S&D recon from the U.S. Air Force. This time, we're flying to Russia to get some recon on St. Petrograd. First, let's look at the spawns and bomb sites. The defense spawns right next to bomb site B. Really tricky to hit if you're on offense. However, bomb site A is in much more neutral territory and a lot easier to reach. Most pro teams tend to focus their early attention on bomb site A, so that's where we'll be focusing ourselves. If you're on defense, it's all about shutting down the offense's first push onto bomb site A. If you want to watch both mid-map and go for an early first blood, try starting right here with a sniper rifle. This is a great position to catch any attackers pushing the street or crossing the bomb site A. Let's see how GodRx of the Minnesota Rocker does it. If you prefer a more explosive defense, grab a grenade and run straight for bomb site A. Once you're on site, aim right for the car in front of the diner. If any attackers are running straight for the bomb site, they'll run right into the explosion. If you're on offense, don't forget all of the ways the defense can pick you off. If you're crossing to A, drop a smoke grenade to cover yourself crossing the street so you don't get sniped. But if you want to fight back, grab a sniper of your own and hop right up here like Pro Player Simp. If you're not the type to sit back for a pick, grab an SMG and a smoke and hit mid-map fast. Throw your smoke grenade towards the defense spawn and run straight for the bomb site. With a little bit of luck, you might just catch the enemy completely off guard. There's your S&D recon for St. Petrograd. Good luck down there.
That was a look at the all-new series S&D Recon presented by the U.S. Air Force. I know this season the U.S. Air Force brings all the intel on S&D and how your favorite CDL pros do it as well. Excited to see more of those pieces, that's for sure. But our series that we have is going to a Game 5 Search and Destroy chance, and honestly, I don't know where I stand on it. I have a feeling, a gut feeling, which all my inner bias put aside, LA Guerrillas might just take it and kind of spoil the party.
I mean, frankly, outside of Wuskin Sniper, they just straight up looked like the better S&D team on Piccadilly at the very least. So maybe there's some sort of one-to-one for the transition into game number 5. But I think the bigger moment is really just the storyline for these two teams. Guerrillas will take any win that they can get. They don't really care what it's going to be, and they're looking for momentum long-term. And for the Ravens, you just made a roster change. It would not be ideal for your first series to play together for you to lose to the team that is at the very bottom of the league.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong. It would be a horrible way to start your campaign with a new team, but we wait and see. Statistically, Game 5, specifically for London Royal Ravens chance, is there anything that stands out there? Is it looking good? Is it looking bad?
See, I put my notebook down. Let's see. Oh, Ben, we have another good news, bad news situation.
Oh God, here you go.
I'll just spoil it and speed this one up. The good news for the Guerrillas is, well, London are 0-2 on this map. The bad news for the girls is they are also 0-2 on St. Petro S&D. So a vaguely similar story to what we had at the very least in the domination, but no team with a great deal of success. This is a map where you potentially have moments with the sniper that like Wuskins can put in some work, but not nearly in the same way that we're going to see on Piccadilly. So really, it just comes down to who is going to be the better S&D team.
Wait and see. Game 5 underway. LA Guerrillas on the attack here in the first round. We'll start with Vivid on your screens. Smoke ready to be out from everyone. Vivid just pushing straight down mid. First blood does come though for Dylan. That's going to give the London Royal Ravens a nice advantage.
Yeah, big pick as well, just with the explosion going off. And frankly, there's 2 players from the girls that are past like the mid-map point, and Scraps just hasn't noticed them. I think finally he might have taken an eye, and finally, I was going to say, just needs to turn around and check. He's only able to pick up 1, which means still Vivid, I'm pretty sure, is here, and they don't know about it. I don't think the Ravens have any idea that he could be where he is.
They make the play, though. That's the question. Being so sneaky, of course, it is LA Guerrillas on the attack. This is a 3 versus 4 advantage London. Well, and Vivid. Honestly, that should be the kill, which potentially secures the round. Aqua finds Dylan. 3 versus 2. You still have Wuskin at the back with the sniper rifle. He may feel some pressure here shortly. As Decimate. Well, 2 players, both on their belly. Who will fall. And Aqua now left to perform, to be frank, a miracle.
Yeah, you got 12 seconds to plant the bomb and try to really just not die. And frankly, you see that Zero's not giving anything to work with. And I have to imagine you just check the bomb, shoot him in the side of the leg, and make sure you get the win. There was an opportunity, I would say, from the Guerrillas. If they had played more aggressive, we were trying to highlight Vivid. He's in a spot. I don't think the Ravens know that he's there. But then you take so long to actually go and push through that eventually Dylan just wraps back, checks the window, gets fantastic timing to get the kill. And it's one of those kills that just kind of secures the round for you. So an important one for the Ravens to get. They need some sort of momentum here in the search and destroy.
Potentially beat the great start that they need, especially considering how game 2 went. Snipe on the cross for a minute there. I thought Shawnee would have just gotten in the way, but doesn't. Wuskin doesn't team kill, but unfortunately for him, doesn't find a member of the LA Guerrillas. So still 5 versus 5, no first blood just yet. London, though, aggressively just trying to push straight through mid-map. Someone's already got themselves over towards B. That's going to be Dylan. Zero has bomb in hand, but unfortunately for him, right now at least, no chance to punt.
And right now, you actually have Dylan in just the perfect spot, right? Well, it would have been better if you were able to get the bomb down, but he's got informations on quite a few players. He knows the door just got opened up behind him, and, well, the stun might end up taking him down, and Aqua, well, ends up playing it perfectly. A perfect spot for the Ravens to be in, and they get dealt with very quickly.
Round starting to develop. Shawnee, Zero, Wuskins, 3 versus 3. The silence has been popped. Wuskin with the snipe.
Good Lord.
Clip Spart as he was trying to cross. Still a lot more work to be done there with 25 seconds. Great nade from Shawnee. Decimate falls. Now Aqua left for the 1v3.
Honestly, this is just straight up unfortunate. Aqua 100% got spotted in this situation. They know where they're going to need to look. You got Shani looking over top, and, well, he doesn't win the first gunfight, but the trade was instantaneous, and I will say that is just an incredibly unfortunate round for the Gorillas. You had Wuskins that hit some sort of god-tier snipe on a guy that I was convinced got around the bus or the wall, whatever the hell it was, but that's not the case, and then the next man in the top window gets hit by the sticky grenade. Ben, Semtex OP, you get that next free kill in the 3v3 again. Just unfortunate. Gets turned into the 1v3 and 2 rounds now in a row for the Royal Ravens.
Yeah, nice start here in this game 5. Everyone on LA outside of Aqua on a donut as well. 0-2s all round. Aqua leading the way 6-2. Few kind of pointless kills though, being left in a clutch scenario. Either way, his stats looking good, but he needs a little bit of reduced productivity, if you will, increased productivity rather, from his teammates, because things aren't looking good here in the game 5, considering how good game 2 looked. Wuskin with a snipe. Can he find a first blood, or will it potentially be Dylan? Back at it again. Same spot as round 1. Vivid falls.
And I'm pretty sure Vivid got killed because he opened the door, made too much noise. I know he did it as quietly as possible, but I'm fairly certain Scraps was like, nope, here's exactly where it is. Dylan, you need to look right here. And it ended up going perfectly. Now the bomb not in the bestest spots with only 38 seconds on the clock.
Time ticking. You're almost be forced to make a play over toward B, which might not be your ideal situation here. If you're on the LA Gorillas, good job from Aqua. Finds a pick and stays alive. Decimate gets himself killed. It's Dylan, but if you're Aqua, you gotta go. And B is looking like the only site you can even get to just based off time alone. London should know that when they see nothing over towards A. However, Blast is in a good spot to potentially get any stragglers. Crossing out. Wuskin spots him though. Will he find the pick? No, he won't. Decimate gets it. But for now, LA Gorillas may just have turned this round around.
And this is a round that would be massive for them to get the win again, just for momentum's sake. The 3v2, and you can see neither player from the Ravens anywhere near the site. Aqua doing the smart thing, playing for time. You don't have to take the unnecessary gunfight because there's just so much time. Well, really, so little time, I should say, that the Ravens have to work with. So much time for the advantage of the Gorillas.
What a read.
Though, gonna get gunned, but still, Ben, 18 seconds on the clock.
What a read, all things considered. But yeah, next round gonna be over. LA Gorillas do get their first on the board after a slow first couple of rounds. And they'll win their first, still 2-1 down, of course. Now we look at our final kill. Nicely done by Aqua, who's having a hell of a game 5, to be fair.
And I think, like, he just showed off one of the bigger themes of this game is, I think, just playing patiently in search. Like, you don't have to take an unnecessary gunfight. Right. We saw when there was 38 seconds on the clock, Scraps just had the widest Evigo challenges flying out towards, like, the B Dom, honestly, to try to pick up the player up top. He gets killed, and then you throw away your life, and now that's one less player that the Gorillas had to deal with, right?
Yeah.
If he just stays alive, again, the time is on your side, but as soon as he falls, now you see the way the Aqua played the situation against Vero, gets him weak, but doesn't force the gunfight because he knows he has the advantage with time. So one player go for the quick gunfight, gets punished. Aqua doing the smart thing and had success.
Yeah, Aqua averaging 3 kills a round so far. I doubt that he'll be able to keep that pace up, but a great way to start. Unfortunately, though, once again, LA Gorillas find themselves a man down. This is a 4 versus 3. Scraps being aggressive, trying to hunt down one of the Gorillas players, who I believe actually is Aqua. Meanwhile, Zero over towards bomb site. Not feeling comfortable just yet to plant. Hasn't got the information he wants, or the security, of course, just to plant the bomb just yet. London, slowly but surely running out of time here. 30 seconds. Of course, A is, without question, going to be the site they choose. Zero started to plant. Got off it. Blast is right in front of him. Does he have sufficient teammate support? Well, Aqua's putting himself in a great position. If he's quick here, chance, he could maybe find a couple of kills.
Well, the player just got off bomb, but he's able to find the first free one. The question is, did he spot Shani over towards the boxes? He's looking for the kill, but Shani just wins the gunfight. And now, of course, that leaves Blast, the lone man, in the 1v2. And he doesn't have a ton of information because obviously you see Wuskins going on the full flank, and Blast, I don't even know how you can make that read.
Nope, you can't. Wuskins finds the kill. London find the round. 3-1 the advantage here in the game 5. It's funny because I know you mentioned, of course, losing a game 5, what that does to your confidence. Yes, a 3-0 would be wonderful, but even so, just showing the clutch factor was now a game 5 as well. Might do wonders for London's confidence in the long run. We'll wait and see. Of course, you got to win the game 5 before we can even begin to have that conversation. But they are in the driver's seat here as LA Guerrillas go back on the attack.
And of course, Guerrillas might want to find a new approach on the attack, right? Of course, they had success when they eventually went to the slow beat push earlier on, but now they're turning their focuses on straight up towards A. Spart, not the ideal start. Yeah. Don't even know how you pull that off.
Not ideal at all. And well, London will take full advantage of that. 0 with 2, Dylan with 1. They have bomb as well. Blast, enjoy it. It's a 1v5. I don't think we've seen a 1v5 so far this year, if I'm not mistaken.
We have seen one ever, and it was Looney on Hacienda.
Yeah, it was back in 4 season. It was a pretty impressive clutch, but we'll wait and see if maybe this could be the second. Managed to cherry pick a kill onto Dylan. As soon as that happened, everyone from London said, all right, lads, back off. Let's not give anything up here at all. And unfortunately, no further clutch will be seen. London Royal Ravens 4-1 up.
And really, I'm just curious as how Spart managed to kill himself. I don't know if it was like the card that the Ravens needed, and maybe he put like a bullet into it, and then it just happened to blow up and like got bad timing. I don't know what the situation is, but either way, that is the worst possible thing outside of maybe a quad team kill you're really going to get at the start of the round. And a round that the Guerrillas so desperately need, being down 4-1, not ideal in the slightest.
Not ideal at all. Aqua again, still with a fantastic performance in the game 5, but needs more from his teammates. 0-5 is Vivid. 1-5 is Spart. And Blast and Decimate not having much more success at 2-5 and 2-4 apiece as well. Shawnee, though, and many people thought may have actually been replaced by Zero, stepping up here in the game 5. 7-2. As we take a quick glance over at Scraps' perspective, here's what Aqua sees. He is going to push and make some noise. Potentially, Scraps will be the player that finds that pick. Unfortunately for Scraps, he doesn't know it. Push starts to come through. Of course, London on the attack here as they push over towards A. There's the flank Aqua was working towards. Unfortunately for him, he cannot get away. Buskin finds the trade. However, speaking of trades, Spart shuts down Dylan as well. So this turns into a 3v1 in the blink of an eye. Scraps actually gets himself a double kill there. Decimate, from what was a 3 versus 3 where he was feeling comfortable about maybe trying to hit the flank, has to hold the nade. And London Royal Ravens 5-1 up in game 5.
Yeah, nothing short of dominance so far. The only round loss they have has really just been an ego challenge, right? In my mind, it was just Scraps kind of throwing his life away and not making the best play for the team at the time. But outside of that one specific situation and that one specific round, it has been just pure and utter dominance. And frankly, this is how I expected the series to go, just not in the game 5 fashion.
Dominant from London Royal Ravens here in game 5. Snipe out for Wuskin. We'll try and end it in style. Unfortunately, this round, answer is no. Smoke is just enough to cover the cross, but unfortunately for London, no one actually crossed over towards A. 2 players may be thinking about pushing straight through. Blast will shut that dream down. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the map, of course, LA on the attack. Aqua has bomb. He's looking down the street. No one home just yet. You are teasing with death there, Shawnee. Blast still watching that cross and basically shutting down anyone from London being able to go on the flank.
This is just another situation where the time is going to be the biggest factor in the round, right? 48 seconds is still a fair bit to work with, and you see that the Guerrillas are starting to set up for that push. They got 3 players lined up just towards the front of this B site. Got 2 teammates watching the flank, but frankly, this will be a 3v3 over towards the B site if that's where they decide to go, and they need to make some sort of decision.
Yeah.
It's been 18 seconds. They've done nothing.
Yeah, 29 seconds to go in the round. Blast does find Shawnee eventually, but you still have Wuskin watching and counting the cross, more importantly, almost clip the 3rd player, but that should give Zero all the info he needs, but Zero has to try and stay alive. A great push from Decimate, but time is ticking. 12 seconds left. Oh my lord, Dylan Vivid gets shut down midstream, and now all of a sudden Decimate is going to be left to really try and go big here as he finds himself a double, and that round was not comfortable at all, but LA winning just thanks to Decimate's nice double at the end.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a player wanting to shoot bodies more than Dylan right there.
He
went back to him twice. And I think he did it, killed him, and was like, he just got destroyed. Let me let him know. And then was like, wait a minute, there's like 3 more players I have to go and kill, and had to like double check himself twice. But hey, Decimate got the final 2 kills. LA Guerrillas not down and out of it yet, even if they are taking their sweet time to make sure they pull off these rounds.
Sure. Yeah, a little too close for comfort in terms of the clock, but again, they win the round. End of the day, London looking like a slow A push here off the bat. You have Scraps, of course, watching the wide flank, as he pretty much does every single round here for London on this map. And honestly, the game just slows down perfectly. Neither team wanting to move. It's almost as if LA have said, all right, you want to slow play? Hey, man, we're on defense. We'll slow play as well.
Yeah, from the Ravens strategy, the question is are they going to take the bait? Is the Guerrillas going to take the bait and rotate out of this A site to try to defend B? But frankly, the Ravens have put no pressure anywhere. Now the smoke's out over towards the A site, and that should be all the information the Guerrillas need. You see the kill feed. They're able to get 3 just like that.
Dylan just trying to bob and weave through the smoke. Decimate just said, no, you will fall. And well, now Wuskins, his turn to try and clutch up. It's not a 1v5, it's a 1v4, and he's going to have absolutely no chance at all of clutching that up. So LA Guerrillas discipline, I'll give them that. They stayed true, no information. They played their way, waited for the smokes to come, and at that point it was relatively simple for LA to close out that round.
Yeah, from the side of London, that was the ultimate. I hope this works out. Like we have no information. We don't know where the players are. Let's just hope that we can force our way into this site. Obviously not very successful there, but hey, maybe they have a couple rounds to play with. Obviously, though, you don't want anything to get away from you, so Ravens trying to close it out here. Meanwhile, the Guerrillas, they've shown a couple slow looks over towards B. I think they've tried to go to this A side and force it in once. So long as Spark doesn't kill himself, they'll be in a better spot this time.
It's double positive, by the way, for LA Guerrillas, 12 and 6, but that's not a good start. Vivid falls for the 8th time so far. Only 2 kills to his name as Decimate dancing up top of the flank. Comes through for Dylan. Can he find both quick enough? Yes, he can. And somehow scrambles away. Dylan, the X Factor potentially here to close it out. He spots Decimate as well. Decimate, a whole world of pain. Dylan just trying to put him on skates. Doesn't matter. Shawnee there for the trade. Blast a 1v3. He's in a good spot, but surely the trade comes through. Nowhere for him to go. And London Royal Ravens clutch up in game 5. They take it 6 rounds to 3.
Getting the job done in a fairly convincing fashion. I will say, if I ever play against Dylan, not that that would ever happen because he is infinitely better than I am, but wherever he was last, I'm just going to pre-fire it. No. Wherever I last saw him, I know he's going to challenge immediately. I know he's going to do the bunny hop flying in the air 100% of the time. He will challenge everything in sight. And you can see, even if you know it's going to happen, it's incredibly difficult to deal with. Dylan feeling himself towards the end of that game number 5.
I mean, if you pick up that kill like he did, I think it was on Vivid mid-street, he'd probably feel just as confident as he does. But overall, a good way to close things out for London. No heartbreak start to that new roster. Admittedly, not the start they would have wanted. You look at maybe playing the LA Guerrillas, you think, all right, let's try and 3-0, get the momentum going and see what we can achieve here at our first event as a team. But either way, clutching up in a game 5, it's going to feel good for them. Curious to see just how further they can go in this event. Still plenty of Call of Duty to be played, but we'll take a look at our Scruff Gaming play of the game. I think it was just kind of the closing moments, really, of that game 5. London clutching up big time. And Dylan, again, his movement, you called it earlier on in the series, Chance, and it's something that, we very rarely talk about, just kind of the mechanical inputs and just how many Dylan kind of puts in, if you will, and just his movement. It's like no one else in the world, Chance.
Well, okay. There's a couple players that do have incredible movement, but he's obviously towards the top. His input is insane. And even just looking at the final play, I mean, it's what? The jump into the slide, into gunfight, into the jump for the second gunfight, then immediately into his slide to get out of dodge. Sometimes he has his knife out when he needs to go just like a little bit faster. Like everything he does, it seems like, has a purpose, as cracked as you could possibly be, and he makes it look beautiful as well. And I'm telling you, he just plays a different game. Right. It's like, it's slightly off Call of Duty. It's just different.
It's the way he chains all of those things together, and he makes it look so smooth. But I guarantee if you guys try it at home, it's not going to look that smooth.
It takes time. It takes a lot
of practice and a lot of time to get your movement as smooth as Dylan's. But either way, for London, they are going to feel great. They'll progress through. One more win, of course, and they'll get through to bracket play. For LA Guerrillas, I feel like we kind of hit the story on the head. Enough as it is, Chance. We know for them it's more big picture as opposed to anything else. But one thing that we are very excited that we can finally talk about is, of course, how the CDL Championship will work. We kind of had a rough idea of what was in the works, but obviously couldn't say anything because it wasn't confirmed. But we got confirmation earlier this week, Jansen, just how important CDL points really are. If you want a good chance of taking home the championship at the end of the year and a ring on your finger, you want to be at the top side of our leaderboard come champs.
I mean, yeah, I think because it's what if you're in the top 2 seeds, I think you start in like winners round 3, like you get like a 2-round bye, right? And look at how much money that is. That you just like your starting point. You are starting at like tens of thousands of dollars more than the guys like in losers bracket. And yes, anyone can make a run, anyone can win the tournament and get that $2 million prize, which by the way is absurd.
Yeah,
but either way, just the starting point is going to be fantastic. So the seeding is important, and obviously the Guerrillas, well, they know they're gonna come champs time, have to make a crazy run.
It is important to note as well, just by being further up in the standings, because champs is double elim, because you start so much further, you're basically solidifying yourself a ton of money just straight off the rip.
Yeah.
Right.
No, again, you guaranteed.
It's
tens
guaranteed.
Of thousands of dollars.
It's just
guaranteed.
Guaranteed just by having a high standing at the end of the season. So, you know, when we're talking about, you know, teams who may just need to 10 points here, 10 points there, that could be the difference maker of tens of thousands of dollars come the end of the year. Guaranteed, that is. Of course, you can still go on and have a fantastic run through the losers bracket and potentially just win the whole thing. But either way, it's great to finally have all things announced for the end of the season. And again, just to show everyone how important these CDL points really are. And kind of takes away from the past of, oh, it's just league games. It's just league games. No, not the case at all. You need everyone kind of in full gear every single series you play this year, Chance.
And again, this is like the mark of like we are at the almost true halfway point. The launch weekend makes it a little bit off because technically there's 13 tournaments, including that one overall. But outside of just the pure home series events, we are at the halfway. We've had 6. We're going to have 6 more. Every single team, including the ones at this specific event, they've got 4 more left. So you got to earn those CDL points very, very fast because think of how many teams are right around the middle of the pack, like the Ravens, for example, who just got, I think, their 70th point. They're still at the middle of the pack. All the other teams that are going to be playing are also going to be earning points, so they really have to try to set themselves apart and jump up in the standings as much as possible.
Absolutely right. Of course, still to come today, Rocker versus Optic Gaming LA. And to close out today, New York Subliners versus Seattle Surge. So plenty of Call of Duty action still to come. And I'm excited to see who actually comes out this weekend on top. Chance, I know normally we kind of have at least a little bit of time to talk predictions for the overall weekend, but just before we kind of go to commercial break, who do you have as potentially taking this weekend?
Entire tournament.
Yes.
I don't know why off the top of my head the Subliners were the first ones that popped up for me, but
interesting.
That was the most instinctual team. I mean, for the Huntsmen, I don't quite know how much confidence I can have just because they're playing with the new man. It's the same thing with the Ravens. Like, I think long term it might be a very good decision for the team. I have high expectations, but for it to happen straight away, I don't know if I'm super confident in for them to get their win. I would say the Subliners are solidified. I think they look fantastic. I think they've seen improvements. On top of that, it's a great tournament for them as well, just because, you know, the Empire and FaZe are not here. And then, of course, the same thing can be said for Minnesota. We've been waiting for them, it seems like, for the entire year to get a home series win. They have not found that level of success yet. And again, it's a good tournament for them to finally put it together.
I know we thought 2 weeks ago was kind of one of those weekends where maybe this is the first for Minnesota Rocker. I know you look at this weekend very similar to that of 2 weeks ago, right? You look at the competition that's here and you say, all right, for me, Minnesota Rocker, this could be your time. And I guess it's kind of a crucial time for them as a squad because there's a lot of these tournaments that have gone by. They've obviously made finals as well, and unfortunately lost them. But you start asking yourself, well, can they win? You know, will they ever win? It's weekends like this where you have to take full advantage and shut those rumors down. It'll give the players a ton of confidence as well.
And that's something I said 2 weeks ago that I think I might actually kind of want to backstep just a little bit or like backtrack a moment. Because like, yes, there's definitely truth to it can get in their heads if they don't win these tournaments that are definitely going to be easier than winning champs, right? That is by far the most difficult one to win. But at the same time, at the start of the year, do you remember the ice fishing video thing I did with those guys?
Oh yeah.
One of the very first things their entire team told me when they were talking about like all the home series tournament wins, they're like, they're fine, but like we know the prize is champs. That's the only thing we care about. We don't care how strong we at the start. Like that is the tournament. That is where their sights have been on the entire year. And the same can be said for pretty much every single team. So I do think it would be a massive benefit to confidence for them to get a home series win before going into champs. But at the same time, if they don't win a single one and then win that event, they're just raining down money in there. So we don't care. Like they did their jobs in that situation.
They'll feel very, very happy. I'm sure if you ask the players right now, would you take that? Probably all say yes, and wouldn't hesitate at all.
2 million, Ben. Divided by 5. That's a big number. 400K for 3 days of work or 2 days or whatever the hell it's going to be.
You're not hesitating at all. You're jumping at that. That's for sure. But I think big picture, though, it isn't necessarily just about the confidence. I think it's more just so about the points and the standings, right? When you have teams that are winning multiple weekends, yes, you're going far, but those 10 points at the end of the day could be the difference between, you know, a second and third, where you're placed in that bracket, kind of just where you're starting. I don't think there's any of us right now, at least, with how the current state of the league is, that think Minnesota Rock are going to start in the losers bracket, right? That's just not correct. This is not a thing. We're expecting them to start in the winners and to start relatively high. For me, it's just a difference of, well, how high in the standings can you finish? And for me, I think winning weekends, not just one, I think you're looking at maybe 2, 3, with kind of how the standings are right now, with who's won what so far this season. I think Minnesota have to start getting those wins, and I think this weekend is a pretty good time to start, if I'm honest. Either way, excited. Still so much more Call of Duty action to come. I believe after this next quick commercial break, we'll have a post-game interview as well. So stay tuned for that. It's everything for myself and Chance. We'll see you soon.